Hello? Anybody there?
You're live. Building an audience for you. You're live. Live on Facebook. Hello, everybody. Is anybody there?
I realise I've made you a tea and not me.
Well, why don't you make you one? Make you one, I'll stop talking. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Nina. Hi, Elisa. Elisa Dagina. Hi, Ashley. Hi, Shirley. People saying hello to you, Mark, as well. Mark just realised he made me a tea, but didn't make himself one, so he's out there making a cup of tea. So we did actually record a How Are You Feeling? When was it? Not last night, the night before. But we've been too busy to edit it. So, and we'd gone on a bit, hadn't we? So we didn't want to put it out because it was too long. And then Tracy, should you be sitting together just in case you row?
That's why I'm over here.
Leanne wants a cup of tea as well. How many sugars, Leanne?
Cup of tea. This is an addict's cup of tea. I've just put 6 sweetener in.
I'm a bit weird because I fell asleep on the sofa. Mark just had to wake me up to do this. Just called my chili for tomorrow. Hi, Margaret. Hi, Hina. Hi, Graham. I finally managed to actually watch one of your lives. Normally working when you go live. Ah, well, it's not one of our normal lives because usually when we're doing a live, we're cooking and singing and dancing and being silly. Oh, lots of lovely love hearts. Look at all those, Mark.
It's the T-shirt of a depressive, isn't it? Look.
So anyone who might be joining us live, who may not have seen our How Are You Feeling films, this is a series of films that Mark and I have been doing since New Year, where we try... Oh, that's lovely. Where we try and talk as openly as possible about, well, for Mark, living with addiction, anxiety, depression, and me as the partner of somebody living with anxiety, depression, and addiction. Hi, Kim. Hi, Abby. I'm stick to watching live. I love you. Oh, we've got lots of new people watching us live. This is an unusual live. Usually we're mucking about in the kitchen here, cooking and being very silly. But we thought today we would do a live How Are You Feeling rather than a recorded one, and very much in relation to this. So...
What does it mean?
These sorts of magazines, there's always stuff on front of them. And, you know, I don't take that much umbrage with the magazines. You know, it's a game between TV programmes and magazines. Everyone's kind of working the same way. Yeah, a lot of the time, it's absolute rubbish that's put on magazines.
The right way round to them? Because look, it goes back to front.
Okay, so basically this is Woman's Own.
Marriage Torment.
So basically this is Woman's Own, and
Marriage.
Early this morning, when I was on the way to work, Kay texted me a photo of this. Thanks, Kay. And a photo of the inside. And I'm going to be honest with you, my heart absolutely dropped. Because your first thought is, oh, what are they going to have said? What are my children going to think? What is this all about? You know, marriage torment, rows at home, star pushed away. Then when I saw the inside was about our How Are You Feeling series, and my heart dropped all over again, and I couldn't even bear to read it because I thought...
You were worried about
I was really worried about Mark, because I thought, please don't let this be something horrible. It takes so much courage, honestly, to do these videos every week. Honestly, it really does. You know, I don't go a single day where somebody doesn't come up to me and say, God, how brave is Mark? And it really makes me worry, because people must be saying that because there's still so much stigma attached to mental health. Now, Mark does suffer from depression, but he also is a high achiever, brilliant dad, fabulous friend, and lots of other things as well. But it tends to be that if you have any kind of mental health issues, people tend to just label you with it, and that's why nobody admits to it out loud. So I was really worried. So I didn't even tell Mark all day, did I? And then we met up later, and I was just like, Mark said, oh, we better post our How Are You Feeling film today. And I went, well, you might want to think about that. And he was like, what? And we were both, and he said, why? And I said, well, one of the magazines has picked up on it. I haven't read it. I don't know what they've said. I'm really worried that it might be saying all kinds of awful things about you. Maybe we should really think about whether we do these films anymore, because I'm worried about you. You know, I don't want people to think of him just in one way. But, and then how did you feel when I said that?
Well, when you showed me the text from Kay,
you were so worried.
Initially I was like, oh Christ, because I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened. There was another one when I went down to my dear Nanny Thelma. She had a magazine and it said Nadia Marriage in Crisis, which was kind of amusing because I looked at it and I asked Nadia, who was standing next to me, when was this in crisis?
Yeah, but it's quite funny. We take all that with a pinch of salt.
No, we do take it with a pinch of salt. And also, I love the photos that they find. They're usually photos of Nadia kind of, I don't know, booking a sort of, I don't know, a hairdo, and then they kind of characterise it as that. But anyway, no, but when you show me
Why
this...
I was sensitive to this, though, was because
No, I was very sensitive to that, because of course you see that, and you think, oh my God. And of course, the first thought is always the children, and then the next thought was actually Nadia, because, you know, I don't want her to be cast in a negative light. And then after those two, there was obviously the self-concern, because you do worry what people think, and you do worry about being open about this stuff, and yeah, I mean, you know, you don't want to be treated horribly.
But hi Digby. So at that point, I really wanted to say to Mark that we stopped doing these. How are you feeling? And then we had a bit of a chat about it. And still at this point, we hadn't even read the inside of the magazine. I said, well, how about we don't stop? How about we talk about this? Because there's no point every week just doing the how are you feelings when everything's bobbing along nicely. We've got to talk about it when things get difficult, because there are so many people with mental health. I'll tell you what, I'm a bit overwhelmed by how many lovely hearts are coming across.
No, I know, it's really sweet. And also, isn't it funny that as soon as you say mental health, I blanch like that? It's almost like when you say mental health, I just think, oh my God, that makes me a sort of, you know, people would perceive it as a mental case. I mean, I'm not saying that's the case. I'm saying that as soon as you say mental health, when I've heard you, because I mean, you know, within the cut and thrust of our lives, it's talked about with friends. They go, oh yeah, we're doing these films and it's about Mark's mental illness. And I hear that and I go, literally like that. And I just think, oh my God.
And however much it's spoken about, our mental health is as important as our physical health, and there's really no difference. If there's anything wrong with us physically, we'd go to the doctor, we'd take care of it, we'd reach out, we'd take the love, we'd take all of that. Not yet. People don't see it the same. People don't. And so we thought we're going to carry on doing it through the difficult times as well as the easier times when people are just being very kind. But the good news, and thank you, Woman's Own, is that when we opened it and we read it, it was actually exactly to the letter, Mark, we've got no battery, to the letter what we'd said. So we were really, really pleased about that. Thank you, Woman's Zone. It wasn't made up. Inside, we understand you have to put this stuff on the front to get people...
If we didn't work in telly, we wouldn't understand what this is.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's the business. That's what they do to sell magazines. And then the thing is, we're pleased that if what we're talking about gets out there more, and if we try not to be ashamed and worried and sensitive about it, and worried about other people judging us, then hopefully more people will be able to feel the same.
But what I would say is that if I'd been on my own and I'd seen this on the shelf, I would have tailspinned. If you hadn't been able to explain to me, I would have tailspinned. But when we read it, it was an honest description of what we've been talking about. But I have to say, as we were sitting there, you're right, sweetie. Oh, babe.
Sorry. No, honestly, I'm just overwhelmed because people are very kind, and the thing is that we are actually very lucky because we are, you know, in one sense, what we talk about gets put out everywhere, and that's good because that's what we want. And I do really feel, you know, all the comments, we don't answer to all of them, but we get so many amazing comments from people on YouTube and on Facebook and everywhere, just sharing their absolute agony and the absolute torment of dealing, as the torment word, of dealing with day in, day out, the really hard work of dealing with their mental health and the fear of being honest with people and the fear of what people, and I do worry sometimes. I think, should Mark be being this honest? And I don't say it enough of you. I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of you.
Just trying to keep us charged. Yeah, and it's really weird. I keep having to take deep breaths because I feel quite anxious. Yeah, quite anxious.
But, as we say, we're really grateful to that inside actually is everything that we have actually said. Let's say hello to people. Hi, Guy. I can't read. Hi, Lee. Oh, hi, Wendy. Thank you all so much.
Well, we do hear you saying that these videos help so many people. I mean, it's that weird thing, isn't it, where you sort of, if I think about what we're doing too much, then I get horribly self-conscious. I want to be able to share. I mean, we never offer advice on what people should do
because we don't know what you should do.
No. but also on a daily basis, you wake up and you can have strategies, but with all the best will in the world, strategies go out the window for coping with the day. And for the last week, I just feel anxious. I just feel a sense of anxiety. I mean, I made an interesting promise to myself today that for Nadia, it's really debilitating that, she can talk to me and she knows instantly whether I'm down or, if I'm not in a good place. And so I thought, what I'm going to do today? I'm just, not today, but for the last week, I'm just going to be really upbeat in answering the phone, talking, and all that kind of stuff. No, and also just
really
approach
funny,
stuff.
Every time you answer the phone, you say to me, have you noticed how upbeat?
Well, no, I only said that once.
It's really funny.
Well, no, it sounds like I'm looking for bloody...
No, it's lovely.
No, but I'm trying to be upbeat.
But
and it's not... But no, let me just say,
right.
the merit of doing that is that it ends up rubbing off on you in a little way because you pick it up. And I think maybe I'm anxious because I've had to kind of fraudulently be okay. And I think that if I'm okay, it's something that one of our children, has articulated, which is if I distract myself so much that I'm not worrying about stuff, I worry that I haven't been attending to it. I worry that I haven't been fixating on the fear,
I bet a lot of
the
people
worry.
identify with that. Well, actually, on Thursday we're doing a Facebook Live, Kay and I, about worrying or about worry, because I think it doesn't necessarily have to be clinical anxiety, depression.
No.
Just I think the way of the world is overwhelming for everyone at some point gets overwhelmed with the amount of worry that they're dealing with.
Yeah.
Ruby Wax calls it she's written her book Frazzled, and I think so many of us can be frazzled in so many different ways. But I suppose today, seeing this magazine, because I'm so used to just talking about stuff on Loose Women but I felt really vulnerable. I felt naked because it was you. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't me. And I was like, don't judge him because he's also huge fun and he's also all these other things. He's not just a depressed person. Sorry if I'm rambling, but it just really gave me an insight to what it must feel like if you're not in a job like showbiz and you have got, a normal job, and to have those eyes on you, if you've maybe had a period away because you've had mental health issues and then you come back and everyone's a bit, how are you? It's just your nerves all feel exposed.
I mean, I have to confess. I'm struggling at the moment with the tag mental illness.
Mental health,
but mental illness. So no, I struggle with it. I struggle with it as a tag for me. And if I stop and I consider the fact that it's applicable, it still catches. It makes me catch my breath a little bit. I mean, I'll never forget when I woke up in the Priory and they said, you are in a mental institute. And I didn't see it like that. I didn't see it.
Well, because the word, it's just the power of that word, mental. We hear nutter, we hear crazy person, we hear, unpredictable person. That's the trouble. We've got to, the human race just has to rethink that. We have to rethink that. We have to blow that out of the water because people, as we know, it's on the increase massively. A huge portion of society will at some point experience anxiety, depression, and some kind of mental health issue. Well, our teenagers, in teens now, it's just massive, the problem. Yeah. So we have to start rethinking about our prejudices and drilling into them. I thought with those lovely hearts.
I know, it's very nice, isn't it? Do you? So is
feel
your,
like I've got a bit of a hole in my
is
chest.
your marriage in torment?
Well, sometimes. I don't. I mean, if because people might be listening who are the partner of somebody.
No, I know. I mean,
it's not easy. It's not easy. But then, what is easy is that you're a deeply kind, loving, loyal man that a lot of other men might not be, that don't suffer from depression. So you know what I mean. That's it. You have depression, but you're a brilliant husband, a brilliant friend, a brilliant dad.
Yeah, but yeah. Apparently people are saying, which is a very good thing, that perhaps it's a good thing that it's been picked up by the magazine, because it will, you know, I mean, it sounds so sort of trite to say spread the word. If I'm honest, I've never really, I don't subscribe to the whole sort of, you know, persona, TV persona type thing. I mean, I see Nadia just as Nadia. I don't see you as, you know, anything else. You're just someone that I worked with, we worked together, and ditto, we got on.
You sometimes see me as the bearded lady if I haven't plucked.
But, and I've never sort of really thought long and hard about the importance of saying stuff publicly and it being useful to people, because, you know, I don't know why. I just suppose I've never really thought that it actually impacts. And people's responses, and just as I'm seeing them fly up now, I mean, they're remarkable. And I choose not to kind of read them all, and I choose not to look, not just out of fear of reading something horrible, but it's almost so overwhelmingly moving. And Nadia sort of, you know, translates them to me. And I sort of, sometimes it feels like a burden, sometimes. To sort of,
but it's
to share, because not in a way that you don't want to do it, but in that you hope that you kind of hope that what I've got to say is of use, or what we've got to say is of use, and it doesn't send people in the wrong direction.
No, but all you can do is, you can't think like that. All you can do is be as authentic and as honest as you can, and everything else is just. It's like AA and all that, isn't it? You go to it's AA and all these things work by just. One person just saying how they feel and where they are, and people just saying, and then somebody else saying how they are, and that's all you can, and that's what we're doing on YouTube with this, isn't it? Is that you're sharing, and then people are sharing, and I mean, it really helps me reading all your comments. I mean, honestly, it really, really does. We do get overwhelmed with answering them all, because I get worried about if I'm saying the right thing, but know that we read them, and know that they mean, we often lie in bed, don't we, before we go to bed, and just read. And, you know, on a dark day, it really does help hearing other people and, you know, reading words of support and,
But, I mean, I think the other thing that this does make you realise is something that I've realised being married to you, is that a marriage really is something to work at. A marriage doesn't, you know, a relationship doesn't come fully formed. And I think that we live in a culture where if a relationship becomes a bit of a struggle or a bit hard, you run away from it. I certainly serially went from relationship to relationship, just thinking, you know, you get out of a relationship if it's not right at the first hurdle, at the first sign of disaster. Well, and also I'd be the cause of many of those disasters. So there was, you know, I was always looking to move on because I was always fearing being rejected. And that's all my issues from my childhood. But in us being together, you know, you've talked a lot, I think, on Loose Women about us going to couples counselling. The first time you said that, I was like,
you were furious that I'd said anything.
Oh my God,
like, people
know that we're not perfect partners.
But do you remember I said to you, the thing that I'm most proud of in our relationship is that we went to couples counselling.
No, I get that. But it's funny, isn't it? But
it's hard work going to couples counselling. It's not easy.
But it's funny, it's like the mental health tag. We get tied up in these very pressurised phrases that are trotted around and put in the headlines, and you sort of think, God, well, if you've been, you know, and I'm sure there's thousands of people who kind of go, oh, well, couples counselling, well, then probably the relationship wasn't working, that's why you had to go to couples counselling.
Wasn't, otherwise we wouldn't have gone to couples
counselling.
Yeah,
no, but there's this assumption that the relationship or a marriage or anything should come fully formed and buzzing away, and I do think we do live in a bit of an entitlement culture where unless it's all working tickety-boo, we should just go and pick another one. You know, it's like the pick and mix of relationships or pick and mix of life. And, you know, again, you sort of read this stuff and you sort of think, we have to stress that the happiness we have comes with an immense amount of hard work in the back room. You know, it's like front of house, off stage and on stage. And off stage, you have put in so much graft in order to understand where I've come from. I've put in my graft to try and better myself and understand what it's like for you. and for the kids and all that kind of stuff. It's not easy. It doesn't come fully formed. So I suppose in a way, if anyone's having struggles in their relationships around depression, couples counselling is a really, really, really positive move. It's not something that you should go, no. I mean, you have to be willing to accept that you're partly responsible. Nothing is ever any one person's responsibility. Even if it's a person who's drinking, taking drugs, you know, I mean, what draws you to that sort of person in the first place? What pulled you into them? You know, in what ways have you helped that person indulge themselves? Or, you know, so you never cause the problem in someone else, but there's always a reason why certain types of people come together. And I think when we're drawn, you know, you've looked at your old relationships, I've looked at my old relationships, and, you know, there's a pattern, you can see patterns. And I think, you know, it's not about getting all intellectual about it, but what's wrong with looking at things and going, well, you know what, I keep seeing that happening all the time, let's try and do something about it. Actually, I'm in a relationship here where this woman clearly loves me for who I am. I have a responsibility, and you know, to do the best I can. But that's not easy, and it's easy to drop the ball, and it's easy, and that's where the addiction thing comes in. It's easy to become I mean, we probably could do a whole "How do you feel" about self-pity. Self-pity. I mean, it's pour me a drink. I mean, that is the nature of it, you know. And I have to fight all the time against self-pity. I have to fight all the time to not pour me, oh, you know, give us a hug. You know, that side of things, you know, because I was essentially a victim in my childhood, it's easy to kind of go, I still am a victim.
We talked about that on the show today.
You know, it's easy to kind of trot that. And I tell you the other thing as well, my nan, who's 94, said, do you know what, Mark, I still feel like I'm 16. And sometimes when you go into the heart of your emotions, we are still 16 in our hearts. You know, it's very hard to kind of be grown up. What is grown up? I try not to be grown up as much as possible.
You pull it off.
Do I? I'm wearing a nappy. That's just wrong.
Hello, Lauren. Sorry we haven't read out many comments. We've been ranting, haven't we?
Oh, look. You've helped. I'm going to ask my son and his wife to watch this. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're hitting hurdles in a relationship, we get caught up in assigning responsibility in a relationship for, you know, in rows. I mean, I'm writing a play about rows and about where they originate from. And we get drawn in. How many people have had rows about who's caused the row? Yeah. And
sometimes when we're rowing, we stop and we say, what are we rowing about? Yeah. And we can't actually remember. And then it's just become a row about a row about a row. Hi, Hayley.
Oh, hello, Hayley.
It's Hayley. That's our daughter's art teacher.
I don't know if it's appropriate as a girls' tutor, but I just want to hug you both all the time. And I don't know if it's appropriate. I always want to hug you too when I see you. But hang on, I've just pressed something. But that thing of assigning responsibility, and I think it's very easy when someone's an addict or an alcoholic or suffers from depression to assign the responsibility to that person. And that's something that's really... There was a period in our relationship where for a long time we were working our way out, working our route through it, where, you know, I would often feel that I was not me, but I was merely the alcoholic in the relationship, and so all the problems could be... The problem with being the alcoholic or the depressive or the addict is a lot of shit can stick to you very easily. And
well, as being the person with mental health, which is
absolutely.
Which is where we started with this conversation.
It's very easy to be put in the sin bin all the time.
Was that, if we go back to where we started this conversation, is that we started these films, we were only ever going to do one, then we did one a week, then this has happened and we thought, God, let's stop doing them completely. And I think really, when you think back to earlier on today when we thought that, we were actually missing the point of what we're doing, because the point of what we're doing is to try and blow some of the myths out of the water, and so that people can see that you're many things, not just somebody with mental health problems isn't just one thing. No label.
I'm also someone who has 35 sweetener, which is really nice at that point.
Hi, Guy. Hi, Isabel. Well, hi, Hannah. Sorry, we didn't read out many comments there because I think we're a bit... But we will read them tonight. Thank you.
So do you want us to stop these? They don't want us to stop these.
I don't think so. No. Well, I'll read over them when what I've been seeing from
such
you.
Sweet messages, all of them.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we will put this. We'll post this up on our YouTube channel If you know of anyone...
That's a very good point. Look, someone just there just said, who's it, Digby, life is so bloody difficult and hard. Now, you know, you can argue that to say that is to, oh, for God's sake, get on with it. Every single person finds living hard.
Yeah, some of it is really, really
It's bloody hard.
Wouldn't be worth it. Nothing's worth anything unless it's hard work. That's
But sometimes it's bloody hard, and if you've got just a slight genetic tug in the wrong direction towards an inclination towards thinking everything is awful, then of course it's 20 times more difficult. For sometimes,
do you know what I'm really pissed off about? Came in all stressed about this, and what did I do? I've had no sugar since January, a whole family-sized bar,
That's
bloody
a whole
chocolate, and now I
other
feel
subject.
sick.
chocolate.
Yeah, because I just went like that. Because emotional eating just stuffed my face with chocolate, and now I
Why
just
most
feel
people pour
disgusting.
themselves a glass of wine when they get in from work.
I just feel disgusting now. I really do.
don't.
I do though. I just wish I hadn't bloody eaten the chocolate. I mean, what is going to eating that great big bar of chocolate going to change about anything except now make me feel disgusting because I ate the
Well,
chocolate?
it's made me very annoyed that there's no chocolate left. I'm going to go to the drawer and see if there's any left.
Oh, listen, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Sorry I got a bit, emotional, but I really was a bit overwhelmed with all those hearts. It was just because we were a bit worried if we were going to have anything horrible
Look at
being
that.
said to
Diamonds
us,
are made from pressure.
Yeah. Oh, I like that.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one.
Look, Toffee has nicked my space. Anyway.
Oh, hi, Dawn. Stop dyeing her hair to come and watch us. Dawn, I love all the different reasons you're ever watching us. Sometimes she's in the loo at work. Sometimes she's trying to watch us on the train.
Oh.
Today she was dyeing her hair and had to give up dyeing her hair.
This is Toffee.
Toffee.
She doesn't
Mad.
suffer from anything.
She's mad. I got an email today from the producers on Loose Women. Has any of you got a dog that you'd like the dog super nanny to see? Yeah, this one. Look at her. She's
You alright,
nuts.
Toff? You alright, Toffee? Anyway.
Okay,
I can see
everybody.
that such lovely messages coming in.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. No, I'm not eating any more chocolate. I feel disgusting.
Still feel anxious, but
Feel
I'm going to take a deep
horrible.
breath and go into a corner.
Thank you,
I think it's Toffee
everybody.
making me anxious.
Thank you. Put it down.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Lots of love,
Bye,
everyone.
bye. Thank you.
Bye. Bye.